How to find time to draw. By the end of this video, 3 things are going to have happened. First thing is I'm going to tell you something that you want to hear. The second thing is I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. And then the third thing that's going to happen is you're going to have more time to draw and your life is going to change dramatically. So this topic, how to find time to draw, was actually suggested by viewer Beck in a comment, so thank you very much. I'll definitely be using the community tab and comments to decide future discussion topics for these Draw With Me videos. So this topic, how to find time to draw, is really interesting because just as of yesterday, I have started a new book. Rather, not writing a book. I've started reading a new book, which has completely changed my thoughts on this topic, and so it's come at a very, very good time. But first, like I said, I'm going to tell you something that you want to hear. So the obvious thing that we should probably discuss when trying to find time to draw is how to actually find the time to draw, and that comes down to very specific things like, 1, what is your job? And if you don't have a job, are you a student? And where is the time not coming from? Do you know what I mean? What is the reason that you don't have time? If you're in my situation, then you're an adult with a full-time job and you're married and you have a kid, which means that you wake up, you help the kid get stuff done, then you go to work, which is full-time, all day long until the evening, and then the evening comes and then you're taking care of the kid again until the kid goes to sleep. And then after the kid goes to sleep, you've got to do all the other stuff. Like for my, in my situation, that's a side hustle, which is my YouTube channel, the main channel, and this channel, of course, as well. But my main channel, which started before this one, was Nihongo Gamer, and I'm still doing it. So you can imagine having a side hustle and then now a side hustle, which is this channel, and then also a side hustle, which is my clips channel. And I'm actually planning a side hustle after that, which is going to be another channel. Suddenly, it's not that I don't have time, it's that I have negative time. I actually not only don't have time, but there's actually other stuff that I'm also not getting done. So you can see where in some situations you just simply don't have time. But then the other thing that might be happening is that maybe you can have the time, but you just need to make better use of time management. So like I said before, maybe I have my side hustle and I'm convinced that it takes all of my time. But if I were to change the way that I did my side hustle, so okay, my full-time job, can't change anything about that. Helping with the kid, can't change a lot about that, but I could also invest in having babysitters come over and take care of things like, once or twice a week so I can get more stuff done. But the other thing is my side hustle, which is the YouTube channel. I could change the way that I shoot videos. I could change the frequency that I shoot videos. I could also change the way that I edit the videos. I could also pay someone else to edit the videos for me. So there are ways that I could manage the time better so that the stuff that I'm doing takes less time. And even if you can't find a way to make things take less time, you could reorganize those times to be at different parts of the week. So instead of making sure that you do your YouTube things, again, this is very specific to me, instead of trying to shoot videos and edit videos every single day, I could set Monday to Wednesday as, 3 days of time to shoot videos and edit videos and publish them and schedule them for the rest of the week. And then Thursday evenings and Friday evenings could be days that I've dedicated to drawing. So of course, this all comes down to the topic of drawing. And the problem really with drawing is that even if you try to fit it into your schedule, if it's not your main job, and if it doesn't really make you a lot of money as your side hustle, then justifying drawing is quite difficult. So in order to find time, you do need to consider time management. And going deeper into time management is justifying art. How do you justify art? If you talk about it philosophically, of course, there are plenty of reasons why art should exist and why people should do art or all do creative things in general, because it can actually really benefit your career as well, just having a creative mindset. But that's going into a much wider topic. Things you should probably do in addition to time management is find ways to increase your motivation. So it might not actually be that you don't really have a time problem. It could also just be a motivation problem. So again, another question for another time. But physical things that you can do in order to find time to draw is to better make use of the time in between the things that you're doing. So downtime in between tasks at work or in between getting from work to home, like when you're commuting on the train or in a car, which I don't suggest that you draw while in a car, but if you have the luxury of sitting on a train or a bus, those are moments that you could use to find time to draw. This is like time that you would assume you don't have for other things, but because of the ability to draw in a notepad, because of things like iPad and tablets in general, or your phone even, now you can have tools, even digital tools, ready and on you at all times so that when you've got 15 minutes in between projects at work, or when you finish working, you get on the bus for 20 minutes, or then you get on a train before or after that, and you're on the train for an hour and 15 minutes. That's an hour and 15 minutes every day that you could be drawing. And if it goes both ways, you take an hour and 15 minutes to get to work and an hour and 15 minutes to get home from work. That's 2.5 hours every day that you could be drawing. And on average, okay, it takes me like 7 to 8 hours to draw like a full-on illustration. But usually when you see people draw, I think for the most part people are lying about this, but they'll say something. They'll write. They used to write on DeviantArt the amount of time it took them to draw, and everyone would always quote 1 hour or 3 hours. 1 hour was to look really impressive, and 3 hours was to look like more convincing. But I'm absolutely convinced that most people took 7 to 8 hours to draw their stuff. Of course, if you have better fundamentals, you can physically get drawings done in an hour or 3 hours, but I think a lot of people are, I think the phrase is cap. I think a lot of people are capping on that topic. So anyway, that is the first part. Things you want to hear. How do I change my time management, motivation, or tools that I bring around with me to find more time to draw? But the second thing I'm going to tell you is something that you don't want to hear. And hear me out, because after this, I'm going to tell you why this is totally fine and it's okay for you to be resistive to this. You don't want to hear this, but you don't actually want to draw. Just let that thought sink in for a minute. It's not actually that you don't have the time to draw. It's that you don't want to draw. The reason this is going to bother most people is because you're watching this video because you love art. You love drawing. And every time you draw, you have a great time and you absolutely love drawing. And every time you draw, you think to yourself, I can't wait until the next time I draw. I'm going to make sure that I draw every single day because I want to feel like this every single day. But it never happens. You can set your New Year's resolutions. You can do Jocktober. Sorry, what is it called? It's called Oktoberfest. It's called Inktober. You can try and take part in Inktober, which is to draw every single day of October. Whatever it is, you're not going to draw because the simple fact remains that you actually don't want to draw properly. And what I mean by that is you do like the idea of drawing. You do like the idea that you would like to be one of those people who wants to draw, but you're not. You're not one of those people who wants to draw yet. And the reason that is because you have to analyze yourself and figure out why you don't want to draw. You've convinced yourself that you don't want to draw, and this concept actually comes from the book that I'm reading at the moment, which is called Yuki. It's called Yuki. It's the Kirawareru Yuki. It's the courage to be disliked. So I haven't finished the book yet. I'm still learning the concepts as we speak, but it's a fascinating book so far. And the gist I've got so far, even though I haven't completed the book, is that you usually think that stuff has a cause and effect. And in this case, the cause is that you don't have enough time, and the effect is you don't end up drawing because you don't have enough time. So it's a very simple cause and effect. The reason you're not drawing is because you don't have enough time. And that's how you've ended up on the YouTube video asking a fellow artist, how do I find time to draw? But in this book, The Courage to be Disliked, they introduce this thing which comes from supposedly from a guy called Adler, who was a psychologist of many sorts. And Adlerian psychology doesn't see issues in terms of the cause and then the effect, which is your current issue. It looks at the effect and it assumes that you have invented a cause by yourself. So in this case, the effect is you're not drawing, right? You're not drawing often, or you're not drawing ever. And you've invented this cause in your mind that you don't have enough time to draw. But probably what will happen, and you've probably experienced this yourself, is that you eventually get to the weekend and you do have time to draw. It's Saturday, you've gone out with your friends, and then Saturday night happens, and you're too tired. Fair enough, you don't have enough time to draw. But Sunday happens. It's the second free day of the weekend, and you actually don't have any plans this afternoon. You're going to laze around and watch YouTube in the morning, and then you're going to have some lunch, and then it's going to roll around to about 1:30 or 2 o'clock, and from 2 till 5, you genuinely don't have any plans. But still, you're not going to draw. And the thing is, the fact that you don't have enough time to draw was never the real reason that you're not drawing. The reason that you're not drawing is because you don't want to draw. And you've convinced yourself, if I just tell myself it's because I don't have time, then it will be a great excuse. Every time you don't draw, you'll be like, oh, it's because I don't have time. It's because I don't have time. And physically, you won't have time because in the back of your mind, you are subconsciously scheduling your day full of other stuff to make sure that you don't have time to draw. And it's kind of mind-blowing stuff. It's very painful. It's a very painful pill to swallow. But once you've accepted the fact that you don't actually want to draw, then you can analyze and figure out the issue. How do I make myself want to draw? Well, there are a zillion different reasons why you might not actually want to draw. But if you start to analyze it, probably one of the most common reasons why a person wouldn't want to draw is because of a fear that their drawing is going to be bad. A fear that the drawing that they make is not the drawing that they want to make. And this comes from not practicing, not learning the fundamentals, not following the usual boring steps that are required to get to a point where one can actually draw something that they like. Now this is a completely other discussion for another time that, maybe you will never reach a point that you draw something that you actually like. I think there are plenty of master level artists who still draw to this day, and every time they finish, they go, oh man, it's another, hideous monstrosity this is not what I wanted, but it seems to get 100,000 likes on Twitter and everyone seems to like it, so whatever, I'll just post it and continue not being able to draw the thing that I like. But if you are indeed afraid of failure, afraid that you're going to draw something which is still not a masterpiece. Because face it, for the first 80 years of your life, which is basically every year of your life, you're probably still going to draw stuff that isn't going to be what you had hoped it was. Maybe the very final day of your entire life, you'll draw the one thing and you'll be like, that's exactly how I thought it was going to turn out. And it'll be amazing. But until that day, you'll spend 79 years and 364 days making money and making a career out of doing stuff which isn't quite perfect. So being a perfectionist is a problem. Having a fear of failure is a problem. But if you start to go further into this Adlerian psychology, you can start to learn more about the fact that this is not unhealthy. This is, in fact, fine that you are afraid of failure, because it means that you are fully aware that you have the potential to do better, the potential to do things that you can't do right now, which means that you can actually figure out what it is you need to do to get to that point. So once you've started to figure out what it is you need to do to actually get good at drawing, then you can further yourself and away from and distance yourself away from the fear that what you're going to draw is bad. And once you've got rid of the fear that what you're drawing is bad, and you're instead looking at every drawing that you make as just a step better compared to something that you had drawn before. I mean, that's an oversimplification. We could talk for literally days on this topic. But once you're away from the fear of failure and you're actually seeing it as a positive thing, that everything you draw is cumulative and builds upon the progress that you made before, then you'll be able to go back to your time management and figure out that actually you do have the time. It's not that I'm too busy making YouTube videos and that's why I can't draw. It's that I'm afraid of drawing. I'm afraid that the art I'm going to draw is just not good enough. And as a result, I can look at my timetable and go, okay, you know what? I'm going to not schedule in a YouTube shoot that day because I actually want to draw. I don't want to spend Wednesday from 9 p.m. till 1 a.m. Editing a YouTube video. I'm just going to not do it. Or I'm going to make a much shorter video. Or I'll do a speed paint with no commentary on it whatsoever. There's so many options that you can do, that you can choose instead in order to create time to draw. And I can't think of really that many jobs, apart from, of course, people who are stuck in really awful situations, like they just have to work literally every minute of every day, otherwise they just cannot make ends meet. There are definitely situations like that. But on average, employers that are following the law loosely, at very least, they're employing you from the morning till the early evening. And then after that, you have dinner time and the rest of the evening to yourself. And you get to choose. You get to choose whether you spend that time doing a second job for some extra pocket money or watching YouTube videos like what you're doing right now, which I want you to continue doing because watching these videos definitely benefits me. But you will soon discover that actually you probably do have time to do your job, to cook yourself healthy meals, to do some exercise, and to watch some YouTube videos, and even read some books. And then on top of that, also draw. Because the truth is, it's not that you don't have time to draw. It's that you don't want to draw yet. But you can find a way to get there. Once you've found a way to rid yourself of that fear of failure or whatever it is that is preventing you from wanting to draw, now that you know that the real reason is that you don't want to draw and that's what you need to really tackle, feel much more positive and optimistic about time management, because the truth is, I think you do have the time to draw. and finding it is probably not as difficult as you think. This is an awesome topic that I'm really interested in, particularly because it's, it's the topic of a book that I'm actually reading right now. I highly recommend it. I'm not sponsored by the writers of the book or anything. I'm just finding it really useful. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed this illustration. I don't usually draw in a realistic style, but this is one of the things that I want to tackle, especially with my art, is things that I'm not familiar with and not comfortable with. I want my hand to be able to do things that I can't do right now. And if drawing realistic styles is something that I want to be able to do if the need arises, then I've got to do it once at least, right? Listen, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my main channel, Nihongo Gamer, and also look out in the future because I'm planning to create a 4th channel, which is going to be mostly talk videos, but not drawing related. It's actually going to be a spin-off of my coffee series. On my main channel, I had a series where I would make a coffee and just talk about any random topic. But since the main channel is mostly video games and particularly fighting games lately, I think it makes much more sense to have a talk-only channel. So look forward to that. I'll definitely put a link in the description when that channel has been launched, but at the moment I'm still in the planning stages. Anyway, this has been brilliant fun, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. See you next time.